Hi, it's David Slavic from Ascendant Loyalty, another edition of Tech Talk. I have the pleasure of being with a good friend, Michael Hershfield. We've known each other for over a year. He's CEO and founder of Accrue, which is an amazing company in a space where he's applying his financial acumen, his knowledge about marketing, his knowledge about relationship building to really build a fantastic company that's in a really high demand space. And Michael, it's great to be with you today.
David, it's really my pleasure to talk to you today. I enjoy every conversation, and I'm sure I'll enjoy this one with you today.
Absolutely. So why don't you give us a little bit about your background and the evolution of your career, kind of like a little short bio, just so people know a little bit more about you and it gives the context for everything that we're going to talk about today. And then share with us about Accrue and some exciting things that you have on the horizon. Love to learn more.
Thanks. I get to talk about myself. That's a lovely Monday morning.
Absolutely.
Your
parents are so proud of you. Just share.
I grew up in Vancouver, Canada, and I live in New York now. I moved here in 2010, but I've been in tech since 2007. I started my first company in 2007 in the Toronto tech ecosystem, and I've been in New York since 2010. And I have had the luxury of seeing booms and busts in the tech ecosystem, good business models, bad business models. Before I started Accrue, most recently I was at WeWork for a number of years, and had a lot of great jobs there. Ran a business unit, ran sales for the co-working business globally, and got exposed to building and scaling organizations. But then I had this idea of Accrue, and I started this company in 2021. And we've had a real privileged position to build an amazing business focused around payments and loyalty and the relationship between those two things.
The connection is so essential. There's always a lot of reinvention in that payment and loyalty space. So why don't you tell us what Accrue does and why folks would reach out to you? Just, your basic attraction per se, that would be great.
Yeah, all of us have the Starbucks app in our phone.
Mm-hmm.
And their wallet, their pre-funding feature has been a pillar to the loyalty infrastructure that has driven their growth over the last decade and a half. And that's something they built themselves a decade plus ago. And what has been so unfortunate for other merchants and retailers globally, but particularly in the United States, is that type of technology and loyalty know-how, which is both very expensive to build, but also even more difficult to manage, has been just theirs to have. And many merchants have struggled to capture that magic that Starbucks has built. Obviously, many of us have read lots of articles about Starbucks as a bank. But really the power of that program is how they have leveraged the transactional repeat behavior increase in AOV through that banking and payments infrastructure, leveraging loyalty. And so what Accrue is, and Accrue wasn't always this. We started as an embedded savings experience. Every retailer should have a savings product, not just a credit product. What we heard from merchants in our conversations from them was they had FOMO, Starbucks FOMO, and they wanted something that met their needs, that met the needs of the changing consumer. And we built this wallet infrastructure product with an eye on loyalty. And merchants should call us if they want that. Every merchant is different, but that power, that revenue increase, that AOV bump, that repeatability is relevant not just for coffee shops, but it's relevant for large retailers that are apparel and shoes, that are grocery stores, that are gas providers at the pump. It meets the needs for lots of different types of retailers.
You think about, old school, what did you do? You spent with Macy's, and then they sent you a certificate in an email or J.C. Penney or otherwise, and you printed out the email, and then there was a barcode or a coding structure with 16 digits or something, and you walked into the store and they had to key in all the information in order to give you your $10 off, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's amazing how
the
things.
customer, go ahead.
It's amazing how things have changed. And I want to, you and I have talked about this actually when we first met a year ago, and I want your listeners to understand this. The original idea of Accrue came from some of my own personal experiences with Canadian Tire Bucks. Remember we talked about this before. I actually have on my wall, and I'll put down for you. I have old school Canadian Tire Bucks on my wall, and we talk about how things have changed in our loyalty universe. And actually, if you think about it, that was also a payments innovation. The currency, which was the Canadian Tire dollar, and you know the opportunity to innovate in a space that feels still stale. I mean, in some ways, what was being done 15 years ago at Macy's, many major retailers are still doing the exact same thing they did 20 years ago because it has been so expensive to really push the envelope around loyalty, around payments, et cetera. There is a inertia that has happened in the system. And with AOVs getting squeezed right now, with inflation up, consumer behavior is changing. There is a unique moment in time to respond to that and go where, I'm from Canada, go where the puck is going, as Gretzky said. And that is around the sort of merger between payments and loyalty, where how things are very, very different. And I'll tell you, we just launched with a major U.S. retailer in the shoe and apparel space, Snipes.com, massive in Europe, very large in the United States. This is not the Starbucks application. They sell shoes, they sell clothes to streetwear, and they see this wallet application as a way to drive more repeatability, to get people to drive access to shoe drops and et cetera. The AOV increase that we've seen in the first little while, the access and drive is very, very significant.
So you were in beta, and now you're going to be rolling it out very soon, right? As we speak, once we broadcast this, people are able to go to snipes.com and sign up and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and they'll see, and again, the notion of loyalty has changed or is changing right now. And the way we think about that problem as a loyalty community needs to evolve. Mm-hmm. We posit that payments, underlying payment infrastructure, not just with credit, right? So long co-branded credit cards was the next frontier around loyalty. We need a co-branded card. That was what people were saying they needed. And what we believe, and we are seeing this in the data, right? The performance data is in our beta right now is so significant. More foot traffic, larger AOV, more people wanting access to the drops, more people going to events, increased revenue. Those things, and frankly, we also have a lovely partner here, Westside Market. David, excited to show you that. It's sort of a major grocery store retailer in the New York area. That wallet application and the relevancy of it is hugely opportunistic, and because consumer behavior is changing.
Dynamic with, I don't know if you saw the article, but Visa and MasterCard are renegotiating as it relates to interchange fees, which then reduces their absolute revenue, which then has an impact on how they're going to be going and funding co-brand rewards, which then puts a great shift over to gift card, because if it's your branded gift card and it's stored value and you put bonusing and rewards and recognition onto the card, and it makes it that much more valuable to have a relationship with the brand. I mean, you're hitting your timing is pretty crazy as well, right?
Yeah, very. We just had the team here this week from all over the world, and we talk about just feeling very privileged to be able to solve this problem around American consumers and merchants. I mean, obviously, the people listening to this and watching this are many loyalty merchant people and those that support the ecosystem. I think the message that I want to articulate is just around the changing dynamics both in payments and in loyalty, and how
Right.
there are lots of things that co-branded cards still make sense. Obviously, existing traditional loyalty programs still make sense, but the question is, how do you augment it and bring it all together?
Mm-hmm.
We believe the closed loop wallet is relevant and very important because of the evolution of the consumer and the need for merchants to drive different revenue streams for their businesses.
Right. You were talking a bit ago about reinvention and like, why aren't more people doing it? Uh, Guarantee you the chief financial officer of Starbucks is thrilled that they have the program that they do, even if they have been struggling or shutting down stores or dealing with union challenges and so on. And so for any CFO that's watching this that wants to learn more, bringing the loyalty people and the CFO together, that's where the big turn on is, it sounds like, based upon what you're doing. So it's
there's a magic around, traditionally CFOs think a lot about cost savings, right? What's the cost of providing infrastructure? They're protecting the balance sheet of the merchant they're working for. And I think what is happening is this merger of skills in most major retailers too, right? It's not, the loyalty team isn't siloed in loyalty. The payments team isn't siloed anymore. The CFO treasury organization isn't siloed. And what projects can unify those? And the retailers that are winning are the ones that recognize the breaking down of those silos. And David, I'm sure you see that with the way that you're providing support and leadership to some of these retailers, is that prompt to those organizations. It's not probably the loyalty team that's calling you now. It might be the CMO that's calling you now. It might be the treasury team that's calling you. They're like, David, what should we do different? And there's opportunity there. It's hard, right? I can imagine that's very hard, and there's some pain inside those merchants to solve those problems. But that is because pain breeds opportunity, and CFOs, the CFO at Starbucks loves that balance sheet, right? But what they love more than that float, and I think this is what's lost a lot in these conversations, is the increase in AOV, the increase in repeat behavior from consumers. That is what drives the stock price up, is
always
that frequency.
Yeah. So when we're doing in-depth financial modeling, that's where it's all at. What are those key metrics and the sensitivity analysis that's involved? And with a new program design, then we reproject that financial model accordingly. And we always take into account form of payment. But if they're not doing something like Accrue is doing today, and you bring that new different stimulus in, it could have a dramatic effect. So listen, my friend, it's been great to visit with you. I really appreciate it. I wish you all the luck in the world. And thank you so much for your time. And of course, people can find Michael Hershfield on LinkedIn, look up Accrue, reach out, and he's got a fabulous story to tell, as you've heard today. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, David. My pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.